Hello and welcome to EP Learning English. I'm really happy you're here, and I hope you're feeling comfortable, relaxed, and ready to listen. In today's episode, we're going to talk about something that might sound simple, but it has a powerful influence on your life: your environment. Many people think that change begins inside the mind, and that's true. But the world around you also plays a huge role in shaping your habits, your feelings, and even your future. Sometimes, the biggest changes start with small shifts in the spaces we live in every single day. Think about this for a moment. Have you ever had a day when you felt stuck, tired, or unmotivated for no clear reason? Maybe you sat at your desk, staring at your books or your laptop, and you just couldn't start. Or maybe your room was messy, your phone kept distracting you, or the people around you were loud or stressful. Suddenly, everything felt heavy, and you didn't even know why. It's a common experience for many adults, especially those who are working, studying, or trying to improve their English after a long day. Sometimes, it's not your ability or your motivation that's missing. Sometimes, it's simply the environment you're in. Our environment quietly influences us. It affects our mood, our energy, and the choices we make without us even noticing. A cluttered room can make your mind feel cluttered. A noisy place can make concentration feel impossible. Being around negative people can slowly drain your confidence and self-belief. On the other hand, even a small change, like opening a window, organizing your desk, or spending time with someone supportive, can make you feel lighter, clearer, and a little more inspired. These small shifts create space for new habits, better focus, and a healthier mindset. In this episode, I want to guide you through how your surroundings shape your life, often in ways that you don't realize. We're going to explore how physical spaces, people, routines, and even digital environments can either support your goals or quietly hold you back. And the good news is that you don't need to make huge, dramatic changes. A small adjustment in your environment can create a big difference in how you think, how you feel, and how you show up every day. So, if you've ever wondered why you feel stuck or overwhelmed, or why motivation comes and goes, today's conversation might give you the clarity you need. Today, we'll explore how changing your environment can change your life. Let's begin this journey together, step by step, with calm energy and an open mind. What environment really means? When we talk about environment, many people think only about physical spaces, like a bedroom, an office, or a classroom. And yes, these places matter a lot. But your environment is much bigger and more complex than the walls around you. It includes the people you spend time with, the routines you follow every day, the atmosphere you live in, and even the digital world you interact with on your phone or computer. All of these elements work together, and they influence how you think, how you feel, and how you behave. Most of the time, you don't even notice it, because it happens quietly in the background of your life. Let's start with physical spaces, because they are the easiest to understand. Think of how you feel in a clean room compared to a messy one. A clean room often makes you feel lighter and more relaxed, while a messy room can make you feel stressed or tired, even if nothing else has changed. Or imagine working in a bright cafe with natural light and soft background music. Many people feel more focused and creative in that kind of environment compared to working at home in a dark, noisy room. These small details, light, noise, colors, comfort, shape your energy without you realizing it. But environment is not only about furniture or rooms. The people around you also form a huge part of your environment. If you spend time with people who complain all the time or who doubt themselves, you might slowly start to feel the same way. On the other hand, when you spend time with people who are positive, supportive, or ambitious, you often feel more motivated and hopeful. Humans naturally absorb the emotions, ideas, and energy of others. So even if you don't copy their actions, you still feel the emotional impact of the people you are close to. Sometimes, just one encouraging conversation can lift your mood for the entire day. Your environment also includes your daily routines, the small habits you repeat again and again. For example, if your routine in the morning involves checking your phone immediately, you might start your day with stress or distraction. But if your routine includes stretching, drinking water, or listening to something inspiring, your mind might feel calmer and more focused. Routines shape the rhythm of your day, and the rhythm of your day shapes the rhythm of your life. Over time, your habits become part of your environment because they create the atmosphere in which your mind lives. And then there is the digital environment, which is becoming more important every year. The accounts you follow on social media, the videos you watch, the notifications you receive, the people you message, all of these are part of your environment too. For example, if you constantly see negative news or unrealistic lifestyles online, you might start to feel anxious or insecure. But if you follow accounts that teach you something, motivate you, or support your goals, like learning English, your digital environment becomes a positive force in your life. Even the background noise you choose, like calm music or nature sounds, can affect your energy and concentration. All these layers, physical spaces, social relationships, daily routines, and digital influences, come together to form your environment. They are connected, and together they create the atmosphere you live in every single day. When even one part of your environment is out of balance, you can feel it. You might feel tired, distracted, or overwhelmed without knowing why. But when your environment supports you, even in small ways, life feels easier, and your goals feel more possible. So here's a question for you to think about. Have you ever noticed how your mood changes depending on where you are? Maybe you feel calm in nature, stressed in a crowded city, or focused in a library. Your environment is always speaking to your mind, even in silence. Once you understand this, you can start shaping your surroundings so they help you grow, instead of holding you back. The psychology behind environment and behavior. When we look at how our environment shapes our behavior, it helps to understand a simple psychological idea called cue-based habits. A cue is anything in your surroundings that sends a message to your brain. It could be a sound, a smell, a place, or even a time of day. These cues trigger habits automatically, without you thinking about them. For example, when you see your bed, your brain might think of sleep. When you see your phone, your brain thinks of checking messages. When you sit at your desk, your mind might switch into study mode, or, for some people, procrastination mode. These reactions happen fast and often without awareness, because your brain loves patterns. It uses cues from your environment to decide what to do next. Surroundings have a strong power to influence your energy. Sometimes you walk into a place and immediately feel awake, like a bright coffee shop buzzing with activity. Other times, you enter a room and feel sleepy or heavy, perhaps because it's too dark, too quiet, or too messy. The interesting part is that nothing dramatic happens. It's just the environment sending cues to your body. You relax on a soft sofa because the cue tells your brain, "This is a comfortable place." You feel stressed in a loud or crowded space because your mind receives signals that say, "Be alert." These small changes in energy guide your behavior more than you might think. Let me share a relatable experience that many people have felt at some point. For a long time, I struggled to study at home. I would sit at my desk, open my books or laptop, and then somehow end up scrolling through my phone, cleaning my room, or simply staring into space. It wasn't that I didn't want to study. I had the motivation, the goals, and even the time. But the environment around me was full of cues, telling my brain to relax, distract myself, or think about other things. My home environment was connected with comfort, rest, and personal activities, not focused work. One day, I decided to try something different. I went to a small cafe near my house with my laptop and a notebook. The moment I sat down, something changed. The smell of coffee, the quiet background music, the soft voices around me, and the sight of other people working all sent new cues to my mind. The environment whispered to me, "This is a place to focus." And suddenly, I was able to study for 2 or 3 hours without much effort. The only thing I changed was the environment. But that small shift completely changed my behavior. I didn't become a new person. I simply placed myself in a different atmosphere that supported the habits I wanted. This story shows how powerful cues can be. Your environment can trigger motivation, but it can also trigger stress or distraction. A clean desk tells your mind, "Let's start fresh." A messy desk says, "Maybe later." A room full of people who work hard makes you want to work too. A place with noise, clutter, or negativity makes your mind tired before you even begin. These signals shape your behavior every single day, whether you notice them or not. The most important thing to understand is this: your environment is always teaching you something. It teaches your brain what kind of behavior to expect in each place. It teaches you how to feel, how to act, and how to show up in the world. Sometimes it teaches good habits, like focus and consistency. Other times it teaches bad habits, like procrastination or stress. When you pay attention to these cues, you gain the power to change them. And when you change them, your actions begin to change too. Once you realize how cue-based habits work, you can start shaping your surroundings in ways that help you grow. Even small adjustments, like moving your phone away while studying or creating a specific corner for reading, can completely shift your behavior. Your brain is always listening to the environment around you. The question is, what do you want it to hear? Identifying the environments that hold you back. As we talk about how the environment shapes our behavior, it's also important to look at the environments that quietly hold us back. These are the spaces, habits, and influences that make life feel heavier without us even realizing why. And the purpose of doing this is not to blame ourselves or feel guilty. It's simply to become more aware, because awareness is the first step to positive change. When you understand what drains your energy, you can begin to make choices that protect your peace, your focus, and your growth. One of the most common negative environments is a cluttered space. Many people underestimate how strongly physical mess affects the mind. When your room, desk, or bag is full of random things, your brain often feels the same way, full and crowded. You might find it harder to think clearly or start tasks because everything around you feels unfinished or out of order. A messy environment tells your brain, "There's too much to handle," even if your actual tasks are simple. And the worst part is that clutter builds slowly, one small item at a time, until suddenly it becomes overwhelming. When you clear the space, even a little, you often feel a surprising sense of calm. Another environment that can hold you back is being surrounded by negative people. These are individuals who complain constantly, criticize you, judge your ideas, or make you doubt yourself. Sometimes they are friends, co-workers, or even family members, so it can feel difficult to notice the impact they have. But the truth is that negative energy is contagious. When someone always focuses on problems, your mind slowly starts to do the same. When people around you react with fear or pessimism, you begin to question your dreams. And when others regularly talk down to you, you might start talking down to yourself. You don't need to remove people from your life instantly, but becoming aware of how they affect your mood is the first step toward protecting your emotional environment. Your environment also includes your daily routines, and sometimes the routines we follow are simply unhealthy. For example, waking up late and rushing out the door, skipping meals, checking social media every few minutes, or staying up too late can create a constant feeling of stress and imbalance. These routines shape the rhythm of your day, and when the rhythm is chaotic, your mind becomes chaotic too. An unhealthy routine is like walking on uneven ground. Every step feels a little harder than it should. But remember, the goal here is not perfection. It's just about noticing which habits support your growth and which ones make life more difficult. And of course, we cannot forget the digital environment. In today's world, your phone and computer are a huge part of your life. But sometimes, they create a noisy, overwhelming atmosphere. Constant notifications pull your attention in different directions. Scrolling through negative news or unrealistic social media posts can make you feel anxious, insecure, or distracted. Even the apps you keep on your home screen can affect your focus. When your digital world is crowded with information you don't need, it becomes harder to stay present and calm in your real world. The digital environment is powerful because you carry it everywhere. In your pocket, in your hand, even next to your bed. Understanding these negative environments is not about judging yourself. It's about giving yourself the chance to make small, meaningful improvements. Sometimes, simply organizing your desk, creating a healthier morning routine, or limiting time with certain people can open up space for clarity and motivation. You deserve an environment that supports your goals, not one that drains your energy. So here's something to think about as you move forward. Which part of your environment drains your energy the most? Your answer might surprise you, and it might also be the key to changing your life, one small step at a time. Building a supportive environment for growth. Once you understand which parts of your environment hold you back, the next step is to create an environment that supports your growth. And the good news is that you don't need a big house, a lot of money, or a perfect lifestyle to do this. A supportive environment is not about luxury. It's about intention. It's about choosing spaces, people, and routines that help you feel calm, focused, and motivated. In other words, your environment should remind you of the person you want to become, not the person you are trying to move away from. One simple place to start is with physical spaces that inspire learning or productivity. This could be something as small as a reading corner. Maybe you choose a comfortable chair, place a small lamp beside it, and keep your favorite books within reach. Even if the rest of your room is busy or crowded, this little corner becomes a signal to your brain. This is where I learn. This is where I grow. You don't need a whole room. A single chair or a small table can become a powerful cue for positive habits. Another helpful change is keeping a clean and organized desk. A desk doesn't have to look perfect, but when it's tidy, your mind feels more open and ready to work. A clean surface helps you concentrate because there are fewer distractions pulling your attention away. You can add a small plant, a cup for pens, or a notebook that you love using. These small touches can create an atmosphere that supports focus and creativity. your desk becomes a tool for growth instead of a source of stress. Beyond physical spaces, your environment also grows stronger when you connect with people who support your goals. This might mean joining a positive online community where people share similar interests, such as learning English, developing healthy habits, or working on personal growth. When you see others learning, improving, and encouraging one another, you naturally feel more motivated to keep going. Online communities can be especially powerful if you don't have people in your daily life who understand your goals. Spending time with people who lift you up is another essential part of building a healthy environment. These are the friends, family members, co-workers, and even mentors who make you feel seen, valued, and capable. They are the people who celebrate your small wins, gently challenge you, or simply listen when life feels confusing. When you surround yourself with people who believe in you, you begin to believe in yourself too. And when you limit the time you spend with people who drain your energy, you make space for better emotional balance. Creating a supportive environment also involves developing routines that match the life you want. For example, maybe you want to improve your English. You could create a habit of listening to a short podcast every morning, keeping your notebook on your desk, or following English learning channels like Code Your English. These small routines create a rhythm that moves you forward. Over time, they become part of your environment, something familiar, comforting, and helpful. Even your digital environment can become a powerful support system. You can unfollow accounts that make you feel stressed or insecure, and replace them with pages that inspire you, teach you, or make you feel calm. You can organize your phone so that the apps that help your growth are easier to reach than the apps that distract you. These small adjustments change the emotional atmosphere of your digital life, making it a place that supports your goals instead of pulling you away from them. When all of these elements come together, your physical spaces, your relationships, your routines, and your digital world, they form an environment that helps you grow step by step. And the most beautiful part is that you get to choose what your environment teaches you. Every corner, every habit, every person, and every small detail can remind you of the life you want to build. In the end, remember this guiding idea. Your environment should remind you of who you want to become. When you design your surroundings with intention, even small changes can lead to big transformations. Why environment shapes behavior more than we think? When we think about our behaviors, most of us assume that everything comes from willpower. We often say things like, "I should be stronger," or "I need more discipline." But the truth is, our environment has a much bigger impact on our actions than we realize. The surroundings we live in, the objects around us, the people we see, and even the small details in our daily spaces quietly shape how we behave. Many of our habits are not chosen consciously. They are simply reactions to what is around us. This is why two people with the same goals can behave very differently, depending on the environment they're in. It's not always about being weak or strong. Sometimes it's simply about how supportive or distracting the space is. Think about something as simple as your food choices. If your kitchen table is full of snacks like chips, cookies, and sugary drinks, you will probably eat them even if you promised yourself to eat healthier. It has nothing to do with being lazy. It is just natural human behavior. When something is visible, it becomes tempting. But if you put fruits on the table instead, and keep the unhealthy snacks out of sight, your choices change almost automatically. The desire to eat healthier becomes easier because the environment supports your intention instead of fighting against it. Many people don't realize this, but a small change in your surroundings can make a big difference in how you act. The same thing happens with your phone. You might tell yourself, I will study for 1 hour. But the moment your phone is next to you, your brain keeps looking for notifications, messages, or updates. Even if you don't touch the phone, its presence creates a kind of mental noise. Your mind keeps thinking, what if someone sent a message? Or, maybe there is something new on social media. This distraction isn't a sign that you lack focus. It just means that your environment is filled with cues that pull your attention away from what matters. When you put the phone in another room or turn it off, suddenly you feel more present and more able to concentrate. The difference is not in your character. It's in the context around you. Another example is your workspace. If your desk is messy, with papers, cables, open tabs, unfinished tasks, and random objects everywhere, your brain feels overwhelmed before you even start working. The clutter sends signals of confusion and stress, making it harder to enter a focused state. But when the desk is clean, quiet, and organized, your mind feels calmer and more ready to work. Again, your productivity changes, not because you became a different person overnight, but because the environment created a different emotional and mental state. Many people blame themselves for not being productive, not eating well, or not staying consistent with good habits. They often say, I have no discipline, or I always fail, or I just can't do it. But in many cases, the real issue is not personality, it's the environment. A supportive environment makes good habits easier and bad habits harder. A difficult environment does the opposite. So it's not always about trying harder. Sometimes it's about adjusting the space around you so it helps you succeed instead of pulling you back. When you understand this, you start to feel less guilty and more empowered, because you realize that you can change the context, and changing the context changes your behavior. So now I want you to think about your own life for a moment. How many times have you blamed yourself for something that was actually influenced by your surroundings? How many times did you say you were lazy when the environment was simply too distracting, too stressful, or too tempting? This reflection is important because once you see how powerful your environment is, you can start making small changes that lead to better results. And that is the beginning of real transformation. 4 environments that quietly shape your behavior every day. When we talk about changing our environment, many people immediately think about big, dramatic changes, like moving to a new city or buying new furniture. But the truth is that even the smallest physical adjustments can create a big shift in how we feel and behave. Think about your own space for a moment. Clutter, for example, doesn't just look messy. It quietly affects your mood and your energy. A desk covered with papers, old cups, tangled cables, and random objects can make your brain feel confused before you even begin your work. On the other hand, when you clear the surface, open the window, or even adjust the lighting, you suddenly feel lighter and more ready to focus. Light, noise, and comfort matter more than we think. A room that is too dark makes you sleepy. A noisy environment makes your mind restless. And an uncomfortable chair can make even 5 minutes of work feel like a chore. I remember a moment when I reorganized my own desk. I removed everything unnecessary, cleaned the surface, placed my notebook in the center, and added a small lamp. It took only 10 minutes, but the difference in my motivation was huge. It felt like my mind finally had space to breathe. This is the power of physical environments. They speak to your brain without using words. But our environment is not just physical. The people around us also shape our behavior, sometimes even more strongly than our spaces do. Your social environment, your friends, colleagues, classmates, family members, influences your energy, confidence, and daily habits. When you spend time with people who complain all the time, or who never believe in themselves, it becomes harder for you to stay positive or believe in your own goals. Their thinking slowly becomes your thinking, even if you don't notice it. On the other hand, spending time with supportive and encouraging people can lift your spirit and motivate you to grow. Think of the people who make you feel enthusiastic, calm, or inspired after talking to them. These relationships act like sunlight. They help you grow without forcing anything. But people who constantly criticize you, bring negativity, or drain your energy can make life feel heavier. This doesn't mean you should cut people out of your life suddenly. Instead, it means becoming aware of how each relationship affects your emotional state. Ask yourself, who gives me energy and who takes it away? Who listens to me and who makes me doubt myself? These questions help you understand the emotional boundaries you may need to set to protect your mental health. And then there is another environment we often forget: the digital world we live in every day. Your phone, your apps, your social media feeds, they all create a digital environment that shapes your thoughts, emotions, and even your identity. Notifications can interrupt your focus every few minutes, pulling your attention away from your goals. Social media can make you compare yourself with others, leading to stress or self-doubt. And the habit of doom scrolling, where you scroll endlessly through negative news or random videos, can drain your mental energy without you realizing it. I remember a time when I opened my phone just to check one message, and suddenly 30 minutes had passed. I wasn't doing anything meaningful. I was just being pulled into the digital noise. When I finally put the phone down, I felt tired, even though I hadn't done any actual work. That's when I understood that digital overload is real. Changing your digital environment doesn't mean deleting everything or feeling guilty about using technology. It simply means designing routines that protect your attention, turning off unnecessary notifications, setting time limits, cleaning your home screen, or choosing content that inspires you instead of stressing you. You deserve a digital life that supports your well-being, not one that steals your peace. Finally, the most important environment of all is the one inside you, your emotional and inner world. Your thoughts, beliefs, and self-talk shape your actions more than any physical or digital space. If your inner environment is full of self-doubt, fear, or perfectionism, even the best external environment cannot help you grow. Many people tell themselves negative stories without realizing it. They think, "I'm not good enough," "I always fail," or "I shouldn't even try." These thoughts act like emotional clutter. They fill your mind with confusion and stop you from taking positive steps. But when you begin to gently shift your mindset, everything else becomes easier. Changing your inner environment means practicing kindness toward yourself, choosing thoughts that support you, and noticing when your mind is telling a story that isn't true. So here's a quiet moment for reflection. What story are you telling yourself every day? And is that story helping you move forward or holding you back? When your inner environment becomes calmer, kinder, and more confident, your whole life begins to change from the inside out. Practical micro-changes. Anyone can start today. Now that we've talked about the power of environment, let's look at something even more important: the small, practical changes you can start today. Many people believe they need a big transformation to improve their life: a new house, a perfect routine, or a dramatic lifestyle change. But the truth is, real progress usually comes from very small shifts. These little actions slowly build momentum, and over time they help you move in a healthier, more positive direction. So let's talk about simple steps you can take, one at a time, to create an environment that works for you instead of against you. One of the easiest places to start is by removing distractions. You don't have to throw everything away or make your room look perfect. Just begin with something small. For example, you can take your phone out of your study area when you're trying to focus. Even putting it in another room or turning off notifications for 1 hour can change your level of concentration. Your brain receives fewer signals, and it becomes easier to stay on track. You can also clear just one part of your desk or remove one item you don't need. Remember, start small. Small wins give you energy to continue. Another simple micro-change is choosing healthier influences. Instead of trying to change every person around you or stop every negative conversation, you can start by adding one positive connection to your day. This might be listening to a motivational podcast, following a helpful English learning page, or spending a few minutes talking to someone who makes you feel calm and supported. These small interactions can shift your mindset more than you realize. When you feel inspired, even for a moment, your environment begins to feel lighter. You can also change your environment by adjusting lighting, air, and background sounds. These seem like tiny things, but they have a big impact on your mood. Opening a window to let in fresh air, turning on a lamp for warmer light, or playing soft instrumental music can make your room feel more welcoming and focused. Many people don't think about these details, but they can completely change the atmosphere of a space. When a room feels better, you feel better. And when you feel better, you work better. A very practical micro-change is organizing your phone. Your digital environment affects your behavior every day. Something as simple as moving distracting apps off your home screen, deleting old files, or organizing your folders can reduce stress and make your phone feel like a tool instead of a source of chaos. You can also move your learning apps, like dictionary apps, reading apps, or English podcasts, to the front of your home screen so they're easier to access. Small changes like this gently guide your habits in a better direction. Another helpful step is creating tiny routines that fit naturally into your day. You don't need a full schedule right away. Instead, pick one routine that brings calm or progress. For example, you could stretch for 1 minute in the morning, drink a glass of water before checking your phone, read one page of a book in your reading corner, or review a short vocabulary list each night. These actions may seem small, but if you repeat them every day, they become powerful. One step at a time, you build new habits that support your goals. The important thing is consistency. You don't need big actions. You just need small actions repeated with patience. A clean corner becomes a clean room. A quiet hour becomes a productive week. A simple routine becomes a strong habit. And once you start seeing these small wins, you build momentum. You begin to feel more confident, more focused, and more in control of your environment. So don't pressure yourself to be perfect. Just choose one tiny change today and let it lead you forward. Over time, these micro-changes help you create a life that feels lighter, clearer, and more aligned with who you want to become. Common setbacks and how to navigate them. As you start shaping a healthier environment, it's completely normal to face setbacks. Many people imagine that change should feel smooth and easy, but in reality, it often feels uncomfortable at first. You might expect yourself to be consistent every day, but life doesn't always work that way. So in this part of the episode, I want to talk honestly about the emotional struggles that show up when we try to improve our space, our habits, or even our mindset. These challenges don't mean you're weak or unmotivated. They simply mean you're human. One of the most common setbacks is perfectionism. This is the voice inside your head that says, I'll start when everything is perfect. Maybe you wait for the perfect time, the perfect desk, the perfect room, or the perfect level of motivation. But perfect conditions almost never arrive. Perfectionism creates a trap where you keep planning and dreaming, but you don't actually take action. It's the feeling of wanting to clean your entire room but giving up because you don't have 2 free hours, or wanting to study English but waiting for the right mood. Perfectionism makes small tasks feel big, and big tasks feel impossible. The truth is, you don't need perfect conditions. You just need to begin, even if the beginning is tiny. Another challenge is lack of motivation, which everyone experiences. Motivation goes up and down like waves. Some days you feel inspired and ready to work, and other days you feel tired or distracted. This doesn't mean you're not trying. It simply means your energy changes. Many adults carry a lot of responsibilities: work, study, family, stress, and sometimes your environment feels harder to manage because you're carrying emotional weight. In moments like these, remind yourself that you don't need strong motivation to take a small step. Sometimes, action creates motivation, not the other way around. When you do something small, organizing a drawer, turning on better lighting, listening to a short podcast, your energy slowly rises. Then we have fear of change, another challenge that many people don't recognize at first. Change feels uncertain, and uncertainty often feels scary. You might even feel uncomfortable letting go of routines or spaces that no longer support you simply because they are familiar. For example, you might resist cleaning your study area because deep down, you're afraid that if the space is clean, you'll have no excuse not to start studying. Or you might avoid joining a positive community because you fear judgment or comparison. Change pushes you out of your comfort zone, but that's exactly where growth happens. You don't have to be brave all the time. You just need small moments of courage. Another emotional struggle comes from the stories we tell ourselves. Humans are experts at self-storytelling. You might hear thoughts like, "I'm not an organized person," "I always give up," "I'm too busy," or "I won't be able to keep this habit." These stories become part of your environment too, because they sit inside your mind and influence how you behave. When you keep repeating a negative story, you begin to act in ways that match the story. But when you gently challenge the story, even just a little, you create space for change. Instead of saying, "I can't," try saying, "I can start small." Instead of, "I'm always distracted," try, "I'm learning to focus 1 minute at a time." Language shapes your attitude, and your attitude shapes your environment. It's also normal to start strong and then stop after a few days. This doesn't mean you failed. It just means you are a person learning new habits. Growth isn't a straight line. It's more like a dance, sometimes forward, sometimes backward, sometimes slow, sometimes fast. What matters is that you keep returning to the path. Even when you fall off track, the door to change is always open. So here's a question to help you reflect on this part of your journey. What story do you tell yourself that stops you from changing your space or habits? When you understand that story, you gain the power to rewrite it. One small, gentle step at a time. Powerful examples of environmental change leading to life change. Sometimes we think big changes only come from major decisions, but many times the truth is much simpler. Our environment quietly shapes our behavior, our mood, and even our confidence. When you change something around you, your space, your routine, or the people you spend time with, it can change the direction of your life. To understand this better, let's look at a few powerful examples where small environmental shifts led to big personal transformations. These stories show that you do not always need to work harder. Sometimes you just need to adjust what is around you. One example is a young woman who felt stuck in her personal life because she spent most of her time with friends who complained a lot and discouraged her dreams. Every time she talked about improving her English or learning something new, they made jokes or told her it was too hard or not necessary. After a while, she began to lose confidence in herself. One day, she joined a new online community where people encouraged each other to improve and celebrated small successes. This simple change, being in a more positive group, slowly transformed her mindset. She became more confident, more disciplined, and more motivated to study. Her life didn't change overnight, but her environment did, and that environment helped her rise. Another example is a man who always wanted to be more productive, but no matter how much he tried, he kept getting distracted. His desk was messy, his room was noisy, and his phone was always buzzing. He thought he needed a more focused mind, but actually, he needed a more supportive space. One weekend, he cleaned his entire desk, removed unnecessary items, organized his papers, and placed only the tools he needed for work. He also made a rule that his phone would stay in another room for 1 hour when he was studying. These small environmental adjustments made him feel calmer and more in control. Within a week, he finished tasks faster, felt more motivated, and saw a clear improvement in his productivity. Again, his environment changed first, and his behavior followed naturally. A final example is about someone who wanted to start exercising, but always found it difficult to stay consistent. The gym he signed up for was far from his home, and every time he thought about going, he felt tired just imagining the long trip. After months of struggling, he made a simple decision. He joined a smaller gym that was only 5 minutes away. Suddenly, going to the gym didn't feel like a big challenge anymore. Because it was close, he went more often. Because he went more often, he started feeling healthier and stronger. That small change in location, just choosing a gym closer to home, created a positive habit that completely transformed his lifestyle. These stories show something very important. You don't always need to rely on motivation, willpower, or big goals. Sometimes the easiest and most effective way to improve your life is to adjust the environment around you. When your space, your people, and your routines support your goals, change becomes natural instead of difficult. Little shifts, like choosing better influences, creating a cleaner space, or making things easier to access, can lead to major results over time. So, take a moment and think about your own life. Could a small environmental change open the door to a bigger transformation? Maybe it's cleaning a corner of your room, joining a positive group, or placing a notebook on your desk to remind you to learn. These small steps can create powerful momentum. Remember, small environmental shifts often lead to big life shifts. Your surroundings matter more than you think, and when you place yourself in a space that supports your growth, you naturally begin to grow. As we come to the end of today's episode, I want you to take a slow, peaceful breath and think about everything we talked about. We explored how your environment isn't just the space around you. It is something that quietly influences your feelings, your focus, your motivation, and even your dreams. Sometimes we forget this because we are busy with daily life, but your environment is always shaping you, even when you don't notice it. So this is a good moment to pause and reflect on what you learned. You discovered how clutter, noise, negative people, and unhealthy routines can hold you back. You also learned how simple, positive changes, like a clean desk, A friendly community or a calm corner can support your growth and help you feel stronger and more in control. These ideas may sound small, but they can create a powerful difference over time. Now I want to ask you a gentle question, and I hope you really think about it. What is one small environmental change you can make today? Not tomorrow, not next week, today. It doesn't have to be big. Maybe you can clean just one drawer. Maybe you can remove just one distracting app from your phone. Maybe you can go outside for 5 minutes to clear your mind. Maybe you can spend time with someone who lifts your spirit instead of someone who brings you down. Even a simple change can send a message to your brain. I am ready to grow. I am ready to become better. And when you send that message, you create the beginning of real transformation. Remember, big growth often starts with small decisions. I also want to encourage you to take action now, not later. Many people wait for the perfect time, but there is no perfect time. Change begins when you decide that you deserve something better. So choose one small step and try it today, even if it feels tiny. You don't need to change your whole life in one day. You just need to take one step that moves you in the right direction. This is how momentum begins. This is how progress becomes part of your life. And when you experience even a small success, your confidence grows, and you feel proud of yourself for taking the first step. Before we say goodbye, I want to gently remind you that this podcast can also be part of your supportive environment. Listening to helpful English content, learning new ideas, and practicing your speaking skills are all positive habits that make your environment stronger and healthier. So if you want to practice your English, feel free to re-listen to this episode anytime. You can repeat the sentences, shadow the voice, or use this as a daily practice. Not only will it improve your English, but it will also keep you connected to positive ideas and motivating energy. Sometimes listening again helps you understand more deeply and remember the message in a better way. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope this episode gave you inspiration, clarity, and a feeling of support. I hope it reminded you that you have the power to shape your environment, and with it, the direction of your life. You are capable of change. You are capable of growth. And you deserve a space and a life that makes you feel calm, confident, and motivated. Take care of yourself. Take one small step today, and keep moving forward at your own pace. I'm proud of you, and I'll see you in the next episode.